episode that you waited all season to see. And I cut my hair. So there we go. It's a banner day here in the Haverstocks. Meri Catfished, season 7, episode 10. So first, before we can get to the whole Meri thing, which I didn't really give us much new, but first we had to like watch the kids go on a double date where they immediately talked about Cody. Oh, he's so funny and high energy. And I was like, seriously, we can't get away from them for even a second. And then Maddie's really concerned because she says, you know, she's going to miss this fact that she has this really close relationship with Meri and Christine and I guess eventually Robin. But, you know, but I'm like, you guys have a million siblings and that will be a very similar relationship. So don't worry about it. Anyway, then they go fishing. And then Caleb asked Cody for that, you know, can he marry Maddie, which would be hard enough anyways, let alone like filming it. So like not only do you have to go and have this kind of awkward, difficult conversation where you're like, it was difficult with my dad, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't difficult.
My mom says, John asked my parents and said, I'd like to marry Nikki. And my dad immediately goes into, like, budgets.
He did have a lot of questions.
He had a lot of questions, but it was like, and eventually my mom's like, Roger. He's like, what? You didn't answer him. He's like, oh, yeah, well, that's really between you and Nikki, but, you know, which is just so typical of my dad. Anyway, so they do that, and then the parents have a dinner in Alaska. And my assumption this whole time is that this issue would never have been, this whole catfishing thing would never have been addressed at all. And then when I saw that they all sat and talked, I thought, oh, they filmed this later. But after watching it, what I think is this dinner that they have, my theory is this dinner that they had really did occur in Alaska. And that is exactly what we see. And then they spliced in footage from probably a month or two ago where she talks in detail about what she was saying at the dinner. So at the dinner, she said, I just don't know what's going on. I may just disappear one day. Which, my first thing was like, does she mean like she's going to kill herself or she's going to leave the family? What bothered me is that Cody literally didn't say a thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've known people whose marriages were falling apart, and when their spouse came to them and said, I want a divorce, they were like, no. Like, we can go to counseling, we can deal with this, you know, whatever. I know that's not the case for everybody, but, like, it's weird to me that they have this whole dinner, and, of course, the most logical thing to think is, there's two options. One is that he doesn't care. The other option is that they've already discussed this in private, and so she's now just telling the wives.
To be fair, people have different reactions to...
And there's that as well. For me, though, you take into account that they do know they're being filmed. So the way you might react if you're truly alone is going to be different than if you know there's cameras on you. So to me, it was really bizarre that Cody either, maybe he said something and it was edited out, but probably far more likely that he just didn't say anything. And then he said...
Can you really imagine him not saying anything?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's what's so weird. He says something about himself and everything. And they always talk about the family and how, you know, he's committed to every wife. And so to me, it was really bizarre that he wasn't more involved in this conversation. Now, to be fair, she's saying, like, I don't know if I need to... And Christine's kind of like saying, like, oh, well, maybe she needs to go somewhere for a week, you know, and figure things out. So... at this point, what she was really saying to them in the summer in Alaska was, I'm really lost. And nobody seemed shocked by that. They seem to all know that. They all know that she's kind of tuned out. We've all commented on the fact, the whole season, everybody has said, you know, gosh, what's with Meri's face? Like, what's with her facial expressions? She doesn't seem happy. She doesn't seem involved. Janelle came to her and she's like, well, you know, I already did this. Now, what was spliced in was her talking about what happened. Now, I'm going to flat out say, regardless of how you feel about polygamy, regardless of how you feel about online affairs, which I assume most people agree are very wrong, I will say that unequivocally, whoever did this to Meri, I'm just going to say there's something not right there. Somebody who invests that much time into catfishing, meaning that from Meri agrees, and from everything we've seen online, that this was a woman who pretended to be a man, pretended to be a businessman, to fool Meri and have an online, potentially on the phone relationship, but they never met. So that is just weird to me. That is there. I mean, like, when I say weird, I don't mean like, oh, Bob sleeps in a tuxedo weird. Like, I mean, like, weird, like there's something pathologically wrong with someone who would do that. There's got to be some deep something off. So there's that. That being said, I don't necessarily, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Cody's so awful, she should have had an affair. Well, I don't necessarily think that, regardless of Cody, she made a commitment. It's probably not emotionally healthy for her, or spiritually, or however you want to think of it, for her to have done this, even if Cody's a jerk, and even if polygamy's not legal, and even if you don't agree with polygamy. That's my opinion on it. John, do you want to add anything about it?
No.
Do you have any insights for the people to share about what you think happened, or what's going on, or...
Don't cheat with somebody, you might look like a fool.
Okay, thank you for your wisdom. Anyway, looks like we're going to have a tell-all, so I guess...
Love you too.
So I guess we'll be back with the tell-all. I don't know... You know what? Hit me up in the comments and tell me what you think next season's going to look like. Is Meri still going to be there?
Oh, I hope they don't drag one stupid thing out all the way, like
They
adoption.
They do it every season, so it's very likely. But
Meri
Meri
take
does...
some notes from the people who produce Alaska: The Last Frontier.
Okay, that's it. No, you know what would be? Okay, this is really bad. But what if Meri did like move on? Like she leaves the church, she joins she sells her house in their polygamous compound, and like, could you imagine like if like a new family like moved in, and then it was like Cody and all his minions, and this one family who's like, dang it, I knew we should have. I knew this house looked familiar, and they're now like in the middle of this like polygamous community.
Well, like anybody really goes outside there, it's really hot.
All winter when it's like 50, and they got like 90 kids running around the courtyard. Anyway, there we go. I'll see you guys later.